If you were beat up as a kid, chances are you were a pushover. I remember I used to get beat up as a kid by my parents with fucking canes, bro. And that shit fucking hurts. I will explain why this is in a second. But what was life like for me growing up? When I was very young, I used to get beat up by my parents. And when I went to high school a little bit later, I used to get made fun of as well. Now, I wasn't made fun of to the same extent as some of my other friends, but I always found it hard to stand up for myself. Life went on, and I went for work while studying at uni. And there was this one coworker that bullied me at work, and I didn't stand up for myself then either. I let it slide and I never told on him or anything. I was also scared that I might have lost my job because he was a little bit higher up in terms of hierarchy of the company. And I didn't know why I didn't stand up for myself. I would spend hours after what already happened and going through it in my head over and over again of what I should have said to him in that situation. But in the moment, I never even said a word. It was like I was expecting something really bad to happen, even though there was no real danger. Later, I found out by watching one of Hamza's videos that it was actually because of my traumatized childhood. So when someone does you wrong, you can't stand up for yourself because you expect something bad to happen. In my childhood, something bad did happen, and my parents beat me if I did something wrong, and that's where it really stems from. When I stood up for myself as a kid, I was beat up for it. So as an adult, when something bad happens, I just don't stand up for myself because I'm expecting the same outcome to happen. I know a lot of you boys can relate to me, especially if you're from Asian descent, because white kids really got beat up. My brain was literally thinking that we were still back in the day when I used to get beat up, and my adult brain literally did nothing when it came to face some adversity. It's funny because my parents and your parents, if you got beat up as well, think they're doing the exact opposite. They think that we get stronger if we get beat up as kids. That's just a lack of knowledge about mental health that leads to that. In all fairness to my parents, I wasn't beat up as much as some of my other friends. Bro, I know people that pretty much have PTSD from this shit. Knowledge about mental health is not something that will be passed down from generation to generation. Forget that, bro. In most Asian countries, people get abused all the time, and mental health isn't even a thing, and it's something that them as a society has accepted as a normality. If you were beat up as a kid, life would have been so tough for you. Imagine not being able to feel safe in the place you call home at such a young age. That's straight up trauma, bro, and it feels like it really doesn't affect you when you grow up until someone discusses it in depth or you do your own research about it. It's good to know why you turn out to be such a pussy so you can undo it. The thing is, this shit is reversible. It's funny because I have like absolutely no reason to be scared because I'm fucking built, bro. If you saw me in real life, you'd know. I'm not trying to boast or anything, but that's just the truth. But I still was a little bitch, and that just goes to show that no matter the amount of muscle that you have, if you have mental health problems, your life will still remain the same. The muscle is like putting a band aid around a mental wound that can only be cured by deep learning and understanding and some psychotherapy. Like, don't get me wrong, weightlifting and training is good for general mental well being. But when you have a problem that goes deeper than the general mental well being, then you need help. I recommend you boys do some further research on this topic and do some introspective journaling as well, because everyone's case is not the same. Your case might be a lot worse than mine, and you might have some long term effects attached to it as well, like some PTSD. Like, I don't consider having something like PTSD of this myself, but it's some kind of trauma that affected me. And this would be a good learning opportunity for us as well, that when we grow up and have kids of our own, that we don't act in the same way that our parents did. Kids need to be treated with kindness and compassion, even if they did something wrong. As long as they know they did something wrong, they will learn from it. But if you beat them, their anger only rises. How come this is not common knowledge amongst Asian parents? It's not like they're gonna learn a lot more if they get beat up. If you beat them, their hatred towards you only rises. That's why you see a lot of family issues with the families that have kids that were beat up. Anyway, that's a separate video on its own. But in all truth, I'm grateful that my parents beat me. Now I get to overcome adversity and become an even better man. Men who don't face adversity remain average in my opinion. You always see this with men in the Western world where they have everything they need, all the facilities that they need, and they don't grow. because they don't face adversity. They have a nice body but haven't been to the gym once. They have a nice face and a nice jawline but haven't done orthotropics once. And they had a perfect childhood, so pretty much the perfect life. But what happens to that man? He settles and he gets comfortable. He's not faced with adversity, so he doesn't grow. Now, what happens to us average men? We get faced with a skinny fat body, with an ugly face, and a bad childhood. We overcome all that adversity through self improvement, and we climb up to the top even further than that perfect man. Anyway, what have I learned from this whole experience, or should I say trauma? I've learned now where this all stems from, so I can act accordingly to stop it from negatively affecting my life in any way. If I didn't come across this information, I would have still been a pushover and would have been like that for the better part of my life. This is why you boys need to do research on everything that's gone wrong with your life, because you know it's going to pay off. You're going to be knowledgeable about what went wrong and you can fix it using your own intuition. And that's what self-improvement helps you with. You would have gone through a multitude of problems as a young man, and content like this helps you solve them. Your anxiety level will be a major part of this trauma as well, because your body will be at a constant fight or flight mode if you were beat up when you were pretty young. Imagine having high levels of anxiety on top of not being able to stand up for yourself when adversity arises. For anxiety, I recommend you do some meditation. It has proven to calm your mind and detach yourself from the situation at hand. I'm new to this myself, so I can't give you too much advice on it. But from seeing how other people have been doing it for a long time, have reacted to it, I know it's a try worthwhile. You don't have to do hours of meditation as soon as you start, but the amount you do, make sure you keep it consistent over a long period of time. That's when you will see results. To help you stay consistent, I recommend making a habit tracker and literally crossing off meditation as soon as it's done every day. If you read Atomic Habits, you'd know that identity change is the main thing that you need to achieve. Once you change your identity and become a meditator, the habit of meditating will automatically follow. Literally try not to break the chain of ticking off the meditating box in the habit tracker and you'll become a meditator. Why does the ticking a box work? Because it gives you an immediate sense of reward, and in this case, it is a satisfaction that you've completed the task. Doing this every day, regardless of the habit, cast a vote on what type of person you want to become. And with enough repetition, your identity will change. For the trauma itself, I recommend you start doing some introspective journaling to see how much it has affected you. We know where it stems from, but we need to find out how much it has affected you so we can work on bettering yourself. And once you get there, in terms of figuring all this shit out, you will literally be unstoppable. You'll turn over a new leaf and you will be unrecognizable. You won't be the same pushover kid that let everything slide. You will become more masculine like you should be and stand up for yourself. If you were nurtured properly by your parents and you were allowed to express your feelings and emotions as freely as you wanted to, you would already be masculine as ever. But we both know things didn't go according to plan, and that's why we're here. Anyway, I hope you boys learned something from this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.